is now in session for the trial of John O'Giovanna on the charge of eating King Crimson. I plead not guilty. The room was full of eyewitnesses who all claimed to have seen the exact same thing, except for the turtle and one Guido Misa, who invokes their right to remain silent. There is no law stating that you cannot eat the findings of the physical manifestation of the fighting spirit. I'll be honest, I don't think this is the hill you want to die on. I don't care what you think is best for me. I am pleading not guilty, and you will find me not guilty in court. You ate the guy. Everyone says you ate the guy. It's an image, as far as they know. Look, the stand got detached when I punched them all the way into the Mighty Giants. They couldn't possibly know it was the actual stand. Keep saying that word. Is this a person or a thing you put sheets of music on? It's the physical manifestation of the fighting spirit. Are you going to defend me in court or not? I thought you were one of the best defense attorneys money could buy. If you're innocent, though, sounds very much to me like you're not. Crimson is not illegal. I'll be honest, I don't think this is the hill you want to die on. He ate an image. What? It was not the real Mr. Crimson. It was an image. He ate a piece of paper? Yes, yep. Well, that sounds completely reasonable. I know many people who have made that mistake. Also, eating stands isn't illegal. And I would like a swift end to this trial. I am a very busy man with very important work to do. What is your profession? Boss of the Italian Mafia? Yes! Hello, yes, who are you? Shh, I'm gonna bust you out of here. I don't need any help. I'm sure you won't be saying that for long. I've got the keys to your cell. Why do you sound like me? I should be asking you the same question. Hello, look at that drip. I'm sorry, you must have some fat stacks back at home to afford quality like that, right? Are you after my money? Well, you know, little birdie told me you've got some, shall we say, expendable income. So, how about it?
Alright, let's organize this shit real quick and then it is time. Time to go.
I'm sure you have connections. This is absurd. I'll be honest, I thought I might have been highballing it a bit, but you accepted the deal right away. Chance you might provide another small donation.
We're going back to the Nether.
Give me some pointers. There's no way you got your cash legit. I don't get my cash legit either. Want to hear about my job? I'll be honest, I couldn't care less. What? It's like money isn't even an object to you. How do you so nonchalantly throw away millions of dollars like that? Because this timeline is non-canon. This time? What are you talking about? I didn't even know this timeline isn't canon. So I'm about to make it non-canon. How? Let's just say I've got a connection. Rippin' Pisces, my guy. Jorno, it's me from the future. I'm here to let you know to skip on lunch today. I promise you'll regret it. Jorno, all that other guy, be sure to eat lunch at the fish and chips place, and thus restores the timeline and resolves any canonical inconsistency. So, King Crimson, answer well.
Something that always interests me in stories is the difference between a character.
I wonder what copper used to look like because this nugget doesn't look like it belongs, you know? The copper ingot is literally just the iron ingot but brown. Quite lazy if I do say so myself, honestly. Where's... Ah shit, did I
There's
not?
an actual presence and their narrative presence. A character's actual presence is how much on screen, whereas their presence is how much that character affects the narrative. How much their voices are driving the story. How often other characters are talking or thinking about them. How often they precipitate choices made by other characters. In God of War 4, Kratos is a character with a lot of actual presence, because he's on screen for the entire game. And he's a character with a ton of narrative presence too, because everything he's doing is driving the story forward. In God of War 4, Thor was a character with no actual presence in the story. Outside of a single post-game Easter egg, Thor never actually appears in the game. But by contrast,
Why is night always so fucking dark?
Throughout there's story after story about Thor, about his incredible feats in battle, his drunkenness, his destructiveness, and his violence. The world of Midgard is Kratos and traits experiencing in the present.
Maybe I should just make it so true darkness doesn't happen in the overworld, because
his father Odin.
I mean, it's pretty realistic for night to be this dark.
Time to seal itself off from the other realms, who sent Faye into hiding. Despite having no actual presence in the story, Thor's narrative presence is enormous. His past actions absolutely affect everything that occurs in the story, and players will develop a really clear image of Thor in their heads. We know that Thor is a warrior, perhaps the strongest warrior of all time, that he's incredibly violent and destructive, that he kills without mercy or compassion. We know that he severely beat his own son Modi and blamed him for the death of his elder son Magni. So he's not just violent with his enemies, but with his own family too. We know he is a drunk. All stories about Thor in Norse mythology mention his drinking. He drinks truly godly amounts of alcohol. The amount he drinks in a single sitting would outright kill most people. Before Thor ever appears in God of War Ragnarok, players should feel like they already know exactly who Thor is, which is what makes his portrayal in Ragnarok so surprising. Because, for the most part, the Thor of Ragnarok is not
This
that
could be
violent,
worth
stupid,
fixing.
merciless, compassionless, drunken warrior we've heard so much about. Instead, the Thor of Ragnarok is kind of submissive and miserable, stuck beneath the thumb of his emotionally abusive father, mourning the deaths of his sons, in domestic squabbles with his wife Sif, and struggling to overcome alcoholism. We get thunderous glimpses of the great warrior side of Thor, but they are short and fleeting. How do we explain this discrepancy? How do we understand this difference between what we've heard about him and what we see when we finally meet him? Were all those stories wrong? Were they lies or misconceptions? Was Thor always this miserable, broken man? I don't think so. I think all the stories we heard about Thor were absolutely truthful. There's enough evidence throughout the games to back them up. Thor used to be a violent and merciless destroyer who didn't care who he killed, a man who was happy to drink enough alcohol to drown a blue whale. That is who he used to be, but the Thor we meet in Ragnarok is a character in transition, a character in the midst of transformation. Something has happened.
Alright, so how do I grow
off
rice?
screen. During the gap between the two games, he started changing. So,
Fertile.
what was it? What happened to Thor? I think the answer to that question should be really obvious. Both of his sons are dead. Magni and Modi were killed by Kratos and Atreus in the
So apparently
last
there's a way to
game. With everything else, we also knew that Thor was a father.
make like super soil that makes everything grow fast.
Nothing, but still a father, still someone who cared about his children. Parenthood, child-parent relationships, hard questions surrounding the right way to raise a child are so central to these two Norse God of War games. And Thor's story is all about those themes too. We actually saw Thor's initial reaction to losing his first son back in God of War 4. We saw it in how he beat Odin, who he blamed for his eldest son's death. Thor's first reaction to the learning of his son's death was the same reaction he had to everything in his life. Violence, extreme violence. And that violent reaction to the loss of his second son, too.
Rich soil.
By his father's beating that Atreus was able to kill him. The Thor in God of War Ragnarok is a Thor who has had to face the fact that his violence,
Organic
all his choices,
compost.
his whole life leading up to that point,
Tree bark.
it all led to the loss of both his sons. He's also probably
Wow, kinda
faced the fact
expensive.
that he was a bad father.
Honestly, I'm too lazy. There's some organic compost growing on that spawns naturally on villages that we can just shovel out, but
physically and psychologically. Not only are Thor's sons dead, but his sons sucked. And it's at least partly, if not entirely, his own fault. What does a parent do in this situation? What can they do? Interestingly, there's another example of a character who's also in this exact situation.
it's no fun fighting in complete
Freya,
darkness.
her son Balder is dead, and even when he was alive, he sucked. And both of those facts were at least partly her fault.
Unless there's an item that gives us light while wearing it or something.
Vengeance. As long as all her thoughts are consumed by vengeance, she doesn't have to think about the mistakes she made. It's very surprising to me that Thor didn't give himself over to the same kind of quest for vengeance. But Freya's situation is different in some ways. Freya is alone. She is without any family. She is exiled from her home. Thor is not alone. Thor still has a tyrannical and overbearing father making all his decisions for him. He still has a wife who cares about him. And more than anything, he still has a daughter, Thrud. He still has one child left. He still has a chance to correct his past mistakes, to be a better father, to raise a better child. That's why I think he makes a different choice than Freya does. One of the most interesting aspects of Thor's character is that, at the start of Ragnarok, he's a character who has already hit rock bottom off screen, but he is also already in the process of picking himself back up, already trying to be better. We can see that in his sobriety. In his first scenes, we see Thor being tempted by but still refusing to drink, because off screen he's made a choice to be better, and he's sticking to that choice. He is really trying to be better and succeeding. Let's watch Thor's first couple scenes in the game, and as we do, I want you to remember the journey Thor has been on to reach this point. He is a father who lost his sons, who hit rock bottom, who had to face his mistakes, who has decided to be better, who is now facing the man who killed his sons for the first time. All of that is going through Thor's head during this first scene. Can I come in? I had meeting. You would not find the company. I'm sure we'll find lots to talk about.
Oh wow, they finished.
This place. You told me before I poured. Stand. Being polite. You seem like a calm, reasonable person. A calm, reasonable person. If the moment calls for calm, I'd say the moment calls for calm. Yeah. For half a second, Thor is exactly who you expect him to be. The storm, the thunder, the lightning, the billowing cloak, the reveal of Mjolnir, and the expectation of a fight. Then the half second passes and we see a very different Thor. A quiet Thor. Something that interests me here is how little Thor speaks. And ultimately that's because he doesn't have much to say. I don't think Thor wants to have a conversation with Kratos. He doesn't have anything he really wants to say to Kratos. He doesn't want to hear anything
I
Kratos might say. He doesn't
see.
want to hear any explanations or
You need to
excuses.
plant it underwater. Oh, that's how the ancient Filipinos. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's still how we grow them.
These are probably Odin's words. A calm,
My goodness, I am
Thor
stupid.
beforehand. Make sure Kratos is acting
Alright,
calm
we have
and
all the ingredients growing on our side
Thor is on a
now.
very tight leash in this scene, and as it turns out, he has been for his entire life. Thor is Odin's bruiser, his bulldog, his muscle. Thor kills things Odin wants killed, and otherwise Thor doesn't need to say or think anything for himself. Except that's changing. Like I've said before, Thor is changing. You can see it in the way he sniffs the mead, clearly appreciates the smell, considers partaking, and chooses to put the cup back down. Next, let's watch just a tiny bit of Odin's part here in this first scene, to see Thor's interactions with his father.
Now, what you did to his boys. Self-defense. Dying is what we Aesir live for. And let's be honest, they were kind of useless. But Balder, he had value. He was my best tracker, my closer. Yeah, his mind was gone, sure. But he had his uses, and now he's gone because of you. Follow me? You have a debt. You're no fun anymore.
What do you want? Odin's behavior towards Thor is despicable. Throughout the game, Odin treats Thor worse than he treats anyone. Because Thor is so physically strong, because Odin could never beat him in a fight, Odin tries to constantly beat Thor emotionally into submission instead. Odin has to be the one in charge, and he's willing to humiliate and shame and bully his son to do it. The way he calls Thor's dead sons useless right to his face is disgusting. Kratos hated those sons too. Kratos killed those sons, and even he doesn't say anything this gross about them, not to Thor's face. The way Odin tries to manipulate Thor into drinking, into falling off the wagon, into giving up his sobriety, that's disgusting too. If someone is trying to overcome an addiction to alcohol, and you start waving a drink in their face and accusing them of being no fun anymore when they're not drinking, that is truly despicable behavior. Especially considering this is Thor's father. This is someone who should want what's best for Thor, should want him to be healthy and sober. But Odin wants Thor drunk because he's easier to control when drunk. Odin doesn't care about Thor. He just cares about how he can best use him. Let's watch two scenes from much later in the game that further this point.
Look at this. We make a good team. Don't we? Don't we? Make a good damn team.
It's like you, Father.
Both behave out there. Thor was really great. Learned a lot from him. You learned something from him. Really? Hey, what did you teach the kid?
Nothing. What can I possibly teach you?
Exactly. What are you going on about?
I just don't get the math. Bringing the giant who killed my sons. Why?
I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Stop letting a white paint noise clouding whatever's left of your brain.
This isn't about
No, it's about your limitations. Accept them and move on. Or go smash something, will you? Honestly, I like you better as a drunk. Okay, come here.
Odin relentlessly insults Thor's intelligence, belittles him, shames him, laughs at him, and tries to make him feel stupid in scenes. It's truly disgusting behavior, and it works. Notice the way Thor says, "What could I possibly teach him?" I think Thor really believes that. His father has spent his whole life convincing him that he's stupid, so he really believes that he is stupid, that he has nothing to contribute, that he couldn't think for himself even if he tried. Also notice Odin's, "I like you better." Odin is not only belittling his intelligence, but still trying to push him into drinking again, which also works. Thor does fall off the wagon, this. He does go back to drinking, and I'm sure Odin is delighted by it. He wants Thor drunk and dumb so he will never become a threat to him. Let's go back to that first scene though. When Odin's manipulations fail to work on Kratos, he sicks Thor on him so Odin can have some time alone to manipulate Atreus instead. And finally we get to see Thor off the leash, the true Thor, see what he really wants to say to Kratos.
Conte.
Time. This battle is spectacular. The cinematics, the epic quality, it is just awesome. It's not a difficult boss fight, but in terms of cinema and drama, it is up there with some of the best in the series. Here we finally see the Thor we heard about in the previous games. The great warrior, the violent destroyer, the merciless killer. He's very powerful. He actually
I think
kills
these
Kratos
blue
at one point
things
during this fight.
showing
It's
up in
not bad.
the Soul Sand Valley might be the things we're looking for.
Times over the course of this series.
And since there's so many of them clumped up in this tiny area, I'm kinda gambling that if I set up a portal there, I'll get what I want with minimal risk.
Restart his arc at a whim. This is Thor at his most intense and most powerful in the game. Thor lives to fight.
Kind of my only choice at the moment.
He says he wants a blood payment from Kratos in exchange for the killing of his sons. You'd think that would mean blood for blood. In exchange for killing my sons, I kill you. But that's not what Thor wants. At least not yet. All throughout the fight, he keeps saying to Kratos, stop holding back. Show me your true self. Show me your power. Show me the god killer who killed my sons. I think Thor wants one last really good battle before the prophesied end of Asgard. So the only interests he has in life are blood and battle. He doesn't have hobbies. He just wants to see the great warrior in action at his peak. The blood payment he wants is see that god killer side of Kratos. And when he gets it, he's satisfied, at least for now. Let's fast forward way ahead of the story to when Atreus journeys to Asgard. Odin tasks Atreus with gathering fragments of this mass, and to help out he sends Thor with him. I find this whole section of the game to be fascinating. I know there are some people who find the Atreus sections of the game to be boring, but from a story standpoint they are all super compelling. Sticking these two characters together, letting them speak to each other and bounce off each other, was a really smart decision by the writers. There's so much fertile ground for conflict and understanding between the two of them. There's this moment where Atreus asks Thor, what do you think? And Thor just says, do your job. That's Thor's whole life. That's what Odin has molded him into. Don't think, just shut up. Your job. Atreus confronts Thor over the slaying of the giants, and here we get a little glimpse of the old Thor, the merciless, compassionless killer, when Thor responds by saying, I revel in deaths. We see it again when Thor beats these certain trials, and he boasts of the rivers of blood and mountains of corpses he left behind. Thor also keeps repeating this phrase, don't try to play it, threatening Atreus if Atreus tries to trick him. I think this reveals an anxiety Thor has. He thinks he's unintelligent, and he doesn't want to manipulate, doesn't want his intelligence used against him, which is ironic since it's Odin, his father, who is really the one manipulating him. And Atreus even manages to get Thor to trust him at least a little bit. The next time Odin sends Atreus and Thor to find a mask fragment, we find Thor in his tavern, dead and drunk. He's fallen off the wagon, failed his sobriety, failed himself, and failed his family too. Let's watch a bit of it.
Great work, Doc.
Shut the water. Nice.
Did I say no rush? I meant we should get going, right? We don't want to all on.
He's right. You should get going. Oh, Dad. Don't do this.
It's already done.
No. Thunder's good for two things. Killing giants and fixing me.
Any man who disagrees will greet your name with his face.
This isn't you.
Thor comes off as totally pathetic here because he's a drunk loser. To be fair, there's really no other kind of drunk. Drinking turns you into a loser. As someone who has definitely drunk a lot more than I should have in my life, I feel very comfortable in saying drinking turns us all into losers. This is what Thor was fighting against becoming this person. This is who he didn't want to be anymore, and it's who Odin wants him to be. In some ways, this scene serves as an indictment of Odin as a father. Odin cares so little for his son that this is who he wants his son to be, a drunk loser. Miserable, pathetic. Notice when Thor says, the god of thunder is good for two things, killing giants and pissing me. Well, that's what Odin wants. A Thor who only ever does those two things. Kills who he wants killed, gets pissed drunk all the time. This is who Odin wants his son to be. That's how bad of a father Odin is. Next, let's watch how this scene ends.
Get up. You are going to Niflheim with Loki. All Father's orders. You have to get up.
I'm disappointed.
Disappointed? Oh, no. That was a glorious fight. You can't even say you're sorry this time, can you? It's what's one more broken promise. Grandfather treated you like crap. You were struggling. I get it. But you can't just... We're here. Mom and I are here for you. Here. We love you. You know that. I just thought this wasn't behind us.
I fucked up.
Yeah, you fucked up.
This is why Thor is trying to be a better man. Father, trying to overcome his alcoholism. Because he has a family who genuinely cares about him. He wants to be better for them, even if he's failing now. I know I keep talking about what a piece of crap Odin is, but goddamn, it is so gross that he is actively trying to push Thor into being a worse father to his daughter, despite how clearly desperate Thor is to be that better father for her. Thor is so ashamed and humiliated. Take it from me, the only thing worse than being a drunk asshole is realizing that you're being a drunk asshole in front of people you care about, people whose opinions you care about, people who think less of you. Pathetic is a hard thing to be in front of your family. From here, Atreides and Thor set off to find another masked fragment, and as they do, they have a bit of a heart-to-heart. There's this moment where Thor says, I don't even know what you're trying to do, but you have no idea what. And Atreides is like, actually, yeah, I kind of do. We do have things in common. We are both half-giants. We both do have overbearing fathers from whose shadows we cannot escape. We are both struggling to forge our own path. Thor says, "What's the point of talking about things we can't change?" And Atreus responds, "Who says we can't change them?" And the answer is Odin. Odin has spent Thor's entire life convincing him that he can't ever change, that he should always just be a loser. Kratos and Atreus are offering Thor another choice, another path. You could change. You are smart enough to make a choice. You don't have to be put to dawn forever. Now let's watch how this one ends.
It's here. That was close. Thanks.
Wasn't up to expect.
Look at finish. You're on a bunch of great things. All of our work.
Welcome.
I'm sorry. You are here. Why?
It's father murder trial. Prosthetic has proof. Take him.
No. Them alone. I command.
You said no more instant blame would be spilled. You said family comes first. You don't think that this is retribution for him being here? He's put your granddaughter in danger. He's made your son miserable.
His father did. Your daughter is old enough to make her own mistakes, and your husband started drinking again, all on his own. Dismissed! You two, a word.
Can't you see what's
Hello,
happening?
Jay.
He's not protecting us. Hey. Oh. Our boys. We used to tell them stories about we would carve the food and we would play and laugh until the sun set and they fell asleep in our
What the
laps. They were thrown at the Allfather's problems like brittle knives to a mountain face. And for what? What turns heads?
My father hates me. My daughter
I have no idea what's happening.
finally thought of something I can teach you.
Hey! Stand down! That'd be right. What?
Gendry! Ugh. You sure know how to plan an exit.
First, notice how Odin ignores Thor at the start of the scene. Atreus was only able to get the mask with Thor's help, but Odin doesn't even acknowledge Thor's presence, and instead gives Atreus all the things. It's like Odin doesn't care about Thor at all. It's unfortunate that Sif gets so little screen time. The little we see of her, she seems like an interesting character, but I think she needs a bit of development. Sif is identifying the right problems here, but coming to the wrong conclusions. Odin is the one making Thor miserable, the one who pushed him to drink again, one putting Thor's life in danger. She's right that Odin isn't protecting them, that he sent Magni and Modi to their deaths, that Thor needs to stand up to Odin. But Thor going after Atreus doesn't solve any of those problems. The person Thor needs to fight is Odin, but I don't think Sif has quite realized that at this point in the story. And I don't think she's realized yet what kind of person Atreus is. So she and Thor both make a mistake here. We don't see Thor again until the final battle. Thor and Kratos fight, and throughout the fight, Thor is fully giving himself over to his old self, to that old merciless and compassionless warrior. He says, "No more talking, no more games. I'm gonna kill you all." Of course, like every other god who's ever confronted Kratos, he loses. But that's when things get interesting. Fuck are you waiting for? Your daughter. My son calls her friend. If you try I would not. Destroy us. No one. No one. Overthink our children.
We must be better.
Why isn't he dead? Are you talking? Who told you to do that? You don't talk. You don't think. I think. You kill. It's a simple fucking concept.
It was right like you. I just didn't want to see it.
What is this? Are you broken? I am your father. Take the hammer and kill who I tell you to kill. What this? This was all their fault. They've done this to us, to our family. It's like I gotta do everything around here.
Here, Kratos puts into words his entire emotional arc from the previous game. For the sake of our children, we must be better. This is the entire plot of God of War 4. This is what Kratos struggled with for that entire game. He had a monstrous violent past, and through struggle, through growth, through parenthood, through compassion, he learned to be better than his son, learned to make a good choice. Kratos is offering this gift to Thor,
Void
offering him the
dust
same
out.
lesson he spent a lifetime learning. The same new choice he himself has discovered. Kratos can be better, then so can Thor. And we know that Thor does want to be better. We know he wants to be a better father to Thor. We know he tried to stop drinking. We know he is ashamed of his mistakes. And for all those reasons, he accepts Kratos' offer. He finally makes a new choice. He finally stands up to Odin. But Odin can't accept that. Notice Odin's words here. You don't talk, you don't think, I think. Kill. Odin has put into words his entire relationship with his son. I think, you kill. You just shut up and do what I say. You don't think about the moral or ethical consequences of what I tell you to do. You don't think about the consequences for your family, what I tell you to do. You aren't even human. You're barely more than a dog, a rabid animal for me to sick on my enemies. And then that line, are you broken? Which I must say, the voice actor delivers perfectly. Odin sounds so genuinely perplexed here. This is the way you talk about like a calculator that isn't giving you the right answers anymore. What's wrong with this thing? Is it broken? This is not the way you talk about a person, and it's definitely not the way you talk about your own son. And then Thor says, no. This moment is the fulfillment of all of Thor's growth over the course of the game. In some ways, Kratos had it easier than Thor does. All Kratos had to do was make a new choice for himself. Thor has to do that, and he has to stand up to his father on top of it. Because Odin cannot stand not being in control, because he would rather his son be dead than outside his control, he immediately, and without
There you guys are.
murders his own son.
I don't appreciate.
They're disappointed by this death, because we don't get to see Thor really.
I think 1 second is too fast of a cooldown.
But remember that Thor is a father. His choice was to live on with his daughter. In the end, he chose
Considering how powerful I made the shield.
fate. In the end,
I mean, I know I'm supposed to be trying to balance it out to the other shields, but the moment I get a different shield,
Thor's final choice here
it's gonna be all I'll ever use. So, you know, isn't this...
affect the story going forward for his daughter, and his narrative presence in this story could continue to be felt, even when he is no longer actually present.
I need something on a bowl, on a plate. Look at all these gravel. How many flint we can mine. Balancing a mechanic that was never meant to be balanced is fucking hard. Especially when you have so many things working against you. Like, shields are literally the reason, I'm pretty sure, people have a hard time chalking it up. I dare say some of them are literally just regurgitating what others are saying, because that's just how people are. We're fucking brain dead. But yeah, shields. It really irritates me on Hermitcraft how nobody ever seems to carry a shield with them at all times, despite how valuable that thing is for keeping you safe. As long as you have that held up, nothing can hurt you. Access would be fair, like an immediate fix. For this problem is easy. Just make it so axes aren't the only way to disable a shield. If shields have more ways to be disabled by the opponent, that would genuinely make modern PvP genuinely interesting. Like, way more interesting. I think 5-2 would be a good balance. 5-second uptime, 2-second cooldown. I'll do it later. For what it's worth, the shields don't seem to be the easiest thing to obtain. Wow, these things are just in the surface. What the? How is it so hot? Shows soul soil, soul sand and warts. Also, I think the thingy isn't working. Passive hostile mobs are supposed to. Passive hostile mobs is on, but it's not doing it. Alright, this place definitely deserves to be thingamabobbered. Ooh. Wait, what the fuck? Hey, I'm wearing the leather boots. What's happening? Why isn't this working? Blistering melon, you'll love to see it. Wow. Useless. Alright, looks like I'll have to place it manually. Is that a mini aquarium? That's adorable. Ooh, they even have a bounty board. For fletching, too. You'll love to see it. I'll call it Greenville. Might be a good idea to go back. Fuck, I have a harpy nest? It's just for decoration. It doesn't do anything. Let's go steal the nether warts. Before we go. At this point, literally the only reason I want to go to the nether now is just so I can go to the nether. If that makes sense. Turtle's cute. Now, are those warp vines? quite lonely in here. What's up with that? Alchemist table, what? Bruh, this shit isn't working. Oh, it does work. It's... I didn't know that's how they actually worked. I see. So it results in you only falling one block. Alright. Why is there no way for me to tell when if they're in full grown? Converts one potion to 3 random potions. Wow. Yo, Enchanted Basin stores experience. How do I make one? Sounds like really dope. Calcite and basalt. Definitely keeping a reminder for when I finally have those materials. I don't have calcite yet. And definitely not basalt either. What? That's certainly weird, but okay, I guess we need a stone cutter. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, kinda wish I was growing mushrooms too. Glowing. Cook rice is a really cheap way to get comfort. Might have to settle for this for the beginning. I completely forgot about these. Ah yeah, 4 seconds and 2.5. 5 seconds is a surprisingly long time. I think 5 seconds is perfectly reasonable.
The first time I played Ragnarok, I was very dismissive of Heimdall. From his first appearance, he seemed to me like nothing but a pompous, arrogant butthole, an extremely irritating antagonizer who talked down to everyone and didn't seem to care about anything but acting uppity and annoying. To be frank, a pretty simplistic character. A villain without any qualities who existed solely to aggravate and antagonize our heroes, until he was inevitably defeated. Battle comeuppance I very much look forward to, but first impressions aren't always accurate. He reminded me a lot of Hermes from God of War 3. In that game, Hermes was this extremely annoying bully who popped up once or twice to insult Kratos and not much else. He was a hateable and irritating antagonist, the kind of conceited, self-centered villain that love to see get dragged off the high horse by the protagonist. Hermes wasn't exactly a very interesting character, but he was an effective enough minor villain. Sometimes the bad guys are just meant to be bad, and that's it. Sometimes all writers to do want to see a villain lose, and Hermes definitely accomplishes that, and Heimdall accomplishes the same thing. There's no other character in Ragnarok I want to see fail more than Heimdall. He is just so cruel, arrogant, and annoying. Also, Heimdall has the misfortune of sharing the stage with Odin and Thor, who I think are both really compelling characters. And Heimdall is pretty thoroughly outstaged by them both. Heimdall also has the misfortune of following up Baldur, who served a somewhat similar role in God of War 4, but did it 1,000 times more bombastic and theatrics. Like Baldur was freaking crazy. By comparison, at first glance, Heimdall is a bit like a blanket. On a second playthrough, though, when I paid a little more attention to him, I realized that Heimdall is more complex than he at first seems, and I do think there's some potentially redeeming qualities to his character. But before I get started on Heimdall, I think I should just see a little bit of Odin's first scene in the game. In this clip, Odin reveals how he perceives his sons. Since Heimdall is in fact a son of Odin, though you'd never know it from their interactions. This tells us a lot about his relationship with his father long before he ever appears on screen.
Now, what you did to his boys. Self-defense. That's what we exiled. To be honest, they were kind of useless. But Baldur, he had value. He was my best tracker, my closer. His mind was gone, sure. He had his uses, and now he's gone because of you. Follow me? You have a debt.
In discussing the deaths of Magni and Modi, his grandsons, Odin completely dismisses them. He calls them useless, which is especially brutal since their father, Thor, is literally sitting right there. Like, what a jerk. Moving on, when discussing Baldur, his own dead son, all Odin talks about is how useful Baldur was to him. Doesn't show any affection or grief for his dead son at all. He speaks of his progeny and extended family purely in terms of how he can he talks about his sons the way someone might talk about different tools on their utility belt. Like, this one's a flathead, this one's a Phillips head. He's saying to Kratos, hey, you broke my Phillips head screwdriver, so now you owe me one, dude. Compare this to Freya's reaction to Baldur's death. She basically didn't even have any relationship with her son, but she still loved him. Because she's not an emotionless sociopath, his death plunges her into emotional turmoil. We can see this lack of affection play out in Odin's interactions with Thor, too. Odin has decided that Thor is his warrior. Thor is the one he sends to kill what he wants killed. He actively suppresses any other ambitions Thor might have, purposely tries to keep him drunk and stupid, because he doesn't need another thinker, he just needs someone to wield the hammer. Before we ever even see Heimdall, we know exactly what his relationship with his father is. Heimdall's just one more tool for Odin to use. He has lived a life without affection or care, because tools don't need to be loved in order to be useful. We've seen what this kind of upbringing can do. Look how crazy Baldur is. Or look how broken Thor is, or heck, look at Kratos. Something interesting to note, Kratos' upbringing is actually pretty similar to Odin's sons. Like them, Kratos' life only had one purpose: raised to be a warrior. He was not shown love or affection because he was raised to fulfill a single purpose, which did not require love. And just like Odin's sons, Kratos grew up to be pretty messed up. He killed a ton of people. It was only his relationship with Faye and with his son that allowed him. The redemption arc he has undergone. Similarly, it seems like Thor's relationship to Sif and Thrud probably had the same effect on the big guy. Balder and Heimdall's lack of any apparent romantic partner, having no one who cares about them other than probably at least partly explains why those two are incapable of following a similar path of redemption even when it is open for them. When the only important relationship in your life is with an affectionless manipulator like you're going to have a hard time breaking out of whatever cramped role he has crafted for you. Anyway, so far I've spent a lot of time talking about Heimdall's family. Now it's time to bring out the golden, boastful, arrogant asshole himself so we can figure out what made him tick. To start, let's watch the entire scene where he first appears. It's pretty long, but I think it's worth seeing if you want to understand who Heimdall is.
Dive into a story that began.
Why are they always spawning here? I appear to have fucked up. No, but I definitely don't know how to grow these. I'll have to give it some time to learn.
Ragnarok contains a lot of inspiring stories about characters growing and becoming better. Kratos learns to choose justice over vengeance. Atreus learns to embrace the compassionate and empathetic parts of his nature, subvert prophecy. Freya learns to set aside her mindless quest for vengeance and instead fight to create something better. Thor learns to resist his tyrannical father's will and rededicate himself to his family. These stories are inspiring because they speak to a human capacity to grow, to learn. We are, all of us, every single one of us, flawed. There is something about you that you don't like, something you wish you didn't feel, something you wish you didn't think, something you wish you didn't do. These kinds of stories inspire us because we know we can stop feeling them. We could break out of that destructive cycle of thought. We could make a different choice in something better. But as inspiring as those positive stories are, the story arc from Ragnarok that has stuck with me, the one I can't stop thinking about, the one that feels really meaningful and artful, is Sindri's. Sindri, a funny comedic relief war character, becomes the wretched and wrathful destroyer of Odin. It's a storyline that is as fascinating as it is unexpected. It's really, really interesting, because Sindri's story moves in the opposite direction from all those other ones. His story speaks to that frightening feeling as a truthful break. To feel worse tomorrow than today, to make an uglier decision tomorrow, the ones we make today to be worse. So let's start with the 2018 God of War, where Sindri was first introduced. In that game, Sindri is only a minor character.
Under the door.
No. Gives him no consequence. It's pretty silly and funny, makes for good comedic relief.
You better touch them. Yeah. Come on.
The video game shopkeeper, in some ways just a glorified upgrade menu. Moreover, he's not even really a complete character on his own. He's really only half a character. He's a package deal. In many ways, he and his dirty blue dwarf brother Brock feel like two halves to a whole character. Sindri is polite, well-spoken, elegant, is comedically repulsed by anything dirty, which is kind of a ridiculous neurosis for a blacksmith to have, since smithing isn't exactly a clean occupation. On the other side of the coin, Brock is gruff, crude, speaks with an unapologetic potty mouth, and is filthy pretty much constantly. Separately, they are fairly shallow and silly characters. Together, they form a completer and more nuanced whole. Notably, both of their story arcs in the 2018 game end with them symbolically merging back together by remerging their smithing brands. You can kind of think of it like Ratatoskr, the funny squirrel character in Ragnarok. Ratatoskr has sliced off bits of his own personality, who then go off and move and talk and think separately from him, and are all extreme and ridiculous manifestations of aspects of his complete personality. In Brock and Sindri's case, and I don't mean this literally but metaphorically, they sort of feel like two halves that split off from a more complete Ratatoskr-like personality sometime in the past. Again, metaphor for understanding their characters, not a literal theory. The 2018 God of War, Sindri also serves as a sort of illustration for how Atreus' character changes over the course of the game. At the start, Atreus is friendly and curious with him. Later, when Atreus is going through his whole "I'm a little piece of shit" phase, he treats Sindri like crap.
Can I tell him?
No,
Tell me what? You put this meal in your mouth? Oh, God. I'll vomit. I'm not kidding. I'll throw up on it.
it's nothing. Family matter.
Oh. Oh. I can tell you a thing or two about family matters.
Oh, let me guess. Your brother isn't as talented as you, and his work is junk.
Those things are accurate. Your point?
It's all you ever talk about, over and over. Do something about it or shut over it.
I see.
Yeah, we're sick of hearing about little people's little problems.
That hurt a little. Let's have a look at your gear.
Then at the end, when he's being better, he apologizes for it. Sindri isn't so much a character in these scenes as he is a springboard for Atreus' character to bounce off of in different ways, as his own character changes. Beyond all that, there was something that always bothered me about Sindri in God of War 2018. Sindri gives a lot to Kratos and Atreus in that game. He gives out totally
I think 90 will be enough for now.
weapons. He gives them his other smithing services. He gives them information about Magni and Modi. He gives Atreus magical arrows. He even gives them the mistletoe that ultimately allows them to defeat Baldur, which is what sets all of Ragnarok in motion. Sindri is a surprisingly central character in the story when you take a moment to look at it. Giving them all of it, and he's not getting much back for it. Sure, they save his life from this dragon, and he's technically upgrading Leviathan axe for free, just so that he has the opportunity to one-up his brother's work, but all Kratos ever does is growl at him. All the growth Kratos has gone through in games, could someone just teach this huffing and puffing mother to say the words for once in his life? Thank you. Oh shit, 7. Wow. Anyway, there is a balance in the relationship. Sindri is giving Kratos and his a lot. As a side note, this is not an unusual relationship in balanced or adventure story. Popular adventure games have a lot of examples of protagonists given a lot of things over the course of their adventure, things without which they never would have completed their adventures, and those protagonists don't give a lot back. Random example, look at Star Wars. How much Obi-Wan gave to Luke and and then ask yourself, what did Luke ever give to Obi-Wan in return? Not much. A lot of stories about adventurers involve giving lots of help while seemingly giving little back to the givers. God of War's portrayal of Sindri is not unusual in this respect. However, this relationship imbalance worsens Ragnarok. At the start of God of War Ragnarok, Atreus and Sindri's relationship has seemingly grown a lot closer. Sindri helps Atreus track down these Jotnar shrines and keeps him safe when Atreus makes the very questionable decision with Freya, and most notably, Sindri opens up to Atreus about how he once saved Brock's leg, a closely guarded secret he has kept from everyone else, including his own brother, demonstrating just how much he trusts Atreus, a trust which he will ultimately regret. Sindri opens his home to Kratos and Atreus and provides them with safety, shelter, provides Kratos with the components needed to craft the Draupnir spear, provides Atreus with a magical escape stone when he goes to see Odin, a magical escape stone that ultimately saves Atreus' life. Sindri is giving so much and asking for nothing in return. Not only not asking for anything in return, not receiving anything in return, or at least not receiving anything. But gets the ire of Kratos for helping Atreus back, gets mauled by Bear Atreus for trying to help. No character in the game comments on this relationship and balance between Sindri and everyone else. For all their positive growth, neither Kratos nor Atreus, not even Mimir, mentions it, as if none of them even notice, and maybe they really don't. They treat Sindri like he's some bottomless bag of tricks, always ready to give up a new treasure, never needing to be replenished or compensated.
Come in. Now, if you would just wipe your feet very thoroughly, I'll wait. You're not going to wipe your feet, are you? Okay then. Your bedrooms are there. The kitchen is just over there. Anything? What do you snack? Kratos? Snack? Snack. My trust is broken. Now, game used to use Yggdrasil seeds. Don't need a travel cable or a Bifrost land anymore. I also used light. Okay, good note. Figure something out, but first, I'll show you how it works. Mind if I fiddle with you? Wrong replacement. Taking advantage of certain materials, structural sensitivity to sonic vibrations, something need to try for quite some time. Thanks for finally trying it. What's it gonna be this time? Patience. I find it's best to see these things. Oh, and there. Oh, take in like that cake there. But before you lose, say go. Sorry, one more thing. Although these are gifts I've given to you, so I shouldn't be sorry, and you should be thankful. Anyways, here, please be careful. It's beautiful. Thanks, Cedric. It is, isn't it? It's also very useful. You'll be able to find anything your heart desires with it. Really? As long as your heart desires the locations your father and you decide and plot to travel together, then yes. It is a compass. Ah, what a beautiful compass. Now scamper off.
I want a snack.
Something else for you. Cedric! What is it? Since you're currently lacking light source. Sorry. Exactly what I'm told for start in the jar. These will help. Oh, back to your exploring now. Off with you. Thanks, Cedric. Wait, what? So, something has to do with me. Person. You're just sure you want.
not taking into account she's determined to murder. I think you need to see the best of people. And I want you to continue to see the best of people by not yourself-murder. Really should. Some people swear by it almost a daily basis. Just don't understand. Why is someone so Loki and James and Ryder for the guy is real? He should know.
Why do they turn into balls? So weird.
Like you best to fight to her all day. Possibly. Sleep. That's when all the troubles of your mind themselves out. Fine, sleep. Good. Eat it. Two. Out of your eye. Already gone. Century! Before you go traipsing off after John, I thought you cheering about it, but you're We'll have to go to Startle Farm and get the rest of the materials. Not to mention we'll have to visit the lady. Oh. That's a relief. Whenever you're ready. Atreus mentions that he thinks of Sindri as an uncle, which is very sweet. And I think Sindri does think of Atreus as family too, or at least as a very close friend. And sure, most people are willing to give a lot to family or friends or people they care about without expecting much in return, besides friendship, trust, and love. I don't think it necessarily would be right for Sindri to start demanding tangible goods in return for the things he does for the people he cares about. But with that said, Atreus and Kratos, as his friends, as his family, should want to do something in return, should express some kind of desire to balance out this relationship, and they don't. They never do. And then Brock is murdered by Odin in Sindri's home by a man that Atreus and Kratos brought into that home. He trusted them here, and without meaning to, they broke that trust. In spite of all their differences, Sindri really loved Brock. When Brock died all those years earlier, Sindri went to literally hell and back again to save his life. Fought for him, almost died himself for him. That's love. That's Sindri giving himself to the people he cares about. The confrontation between Atreus and Sindri after Brock's death is, I think, the key scene of the entire story. I'm so sorry. No. No, I don't want to. No, sorry. We're not letting Odin get away with this. Like my home. Oh. Some of us were bigger fools in the relation, aren't we? I gave you everything. My skills, my friendship, my home, my secrets, my truths, and you just have to. And now what have I got? Not even my I'm sorry. Sorry, looks like. Alright. What can we do?
There's only
No matter what the cost.
so what you can do.
Just get the fuck out of this.
Weird.
Felt there's family too.
Sindri's words are so rude. This is what sorry looks like. A broken man. A man who has given too much and lost too much. And then Atreus' response is so sad. I thought we were his family. Kratos is right. They were family. Sindri wouldn't have done all that he did for them if they weren't. He wouldn't have shared that secret about Brock's earlier death if they weren't. But families, like everything else in life, are not unbreakable, are not permanent. I think it would be easy to play through Ragnarok and come away believing that Sindri's fall is entirely a result of him being upset by his brother's murder. That's really not it. That's a gross oversimplification of his character arc. What's happened to Sindri is that he has been the good guy since the beginning. He has always chosen to be gracious and giving, to do the right thing over and over. And instead of being rewarded in any way, he's been punished again and again. And the things he cares about most stripped from him. It would have taken a very strong heart to stand up to all that. I don't think any other character in this story could have. This would have broken any of them. It's not fair of Sindri to blame Atreus or Kratos for his brother's death. Like Kratos says, no one could have seen through his disguise. And if Tyr really were alive and captive, it wouldn't have been right to leave him in that condition. Atreus chose to do the right thing to rescue him, and Sindri chose to do the right thing by taking them all in. And for that choice, Sindri lost everything. And Atreus did not. That is what really isn't fair. That's the real relationship imbalance, and there is no fixing it. After Brock's death, Sindri becomes a kind of character we've seen a lot of in the God of War series. The wretched and furious avenging angel who cares for vengeance. Kratos served that role for the entire first trilogy. Freya and Thor both served that role at the start of Ragnarok. And now it's Sindri's turn. From this moment on, he lives only to punish the one responsible for his pain, namely Odin. He doesn't become evil or anything. His vengeance is focused. Sindri participates in the battle for Ragnarok without allowing any other dwarves to be hurt, destroys Odin's magical cannons without killing the people operating them, and backs off from attacking Thrud when Atreus tells him she's a friend. This is not the kind of mindless violence that Kratos committed when he was in his violent rage phase. I've seen a lot of people justify Kratos' objectively evil actions in the original trilogy because Kratos was treated very unfairly over and over again in those games. But here we have Sindri being treated terribly too. I don't think anyone would say that Sindri going on a Greece-sized murder spree would be justified here. But then again, no one wins when we play these suffering Olympics, so never mind. In the final scene, after Odin is defeated, all these goody two-shoes characters who have gone through so much positive personal growth and learned how to move past their need for vengeance demonstrate for the audience all the growth they've gone through by passing up on the chance to destroy Odin. Everyone except Sindri, whose character has moved the exact opposite direction as everyone else, who now dwells in the same depths of pain that both Kratos and Freya once lived. Interestingly, Kratos, Freya, and Thor's character arcs are all proof positive that Sindri could climb back up out of this fall, but he can't do it alone. Kratos, Freya, and Thor did not pull themselves up out of that darkness by themselves. Kratos needed his wife and son to climb out of those depths. Freya needed Kratos and her brother. Thor needed his wife and daughter. Who does Sindri have now? Who will help him climb back up? Without Brock, without Atreus, what family does he have left? Like Kratos, could he go somewhere else and build a new family, a new life far away from the setting of his pain? I don't know. It's kind of a bummer.
I've got some pearls. What do we need for the auto feeding upgrade? Where did my golden carrots go? There. Should I turn my main pack into diamond? It's too expensive, man.
But guess they got more to take away.
Man, why isn't this his outro anymore? Ooh. Lame.
God of War 4's story is all about family, about parents and their children, about how children are shaped by their parents, and this seemingly impossible task that parents face in trying to raise children to be better than themselves. This is the task that Kratos faces in raising his son Atreus, to raise his son to be better than the monster he used to be. And it's also a story about love, a parent's love, and the two-sided nature of that love. A parent's love can be uplifting, enriching, transformative. A childhood with a lot of love should be a happy childhood. But parental love can also be stifling. It can be overprotective and overbearing. A parent's love is often tied up in feelings of fear for their child's life, anxiety for their future. This fear can lead a to push too hard, to control too much. In the center of all the game's themes of parents and children and love and fear is Baldur. Baldur is
Huh, is there a
first and
fucking thingy
foremost
nearby?
a fantastic villain. Baldur is a wrecking ball. He crashes into Kratos and Atreus' life out of nowhere, shatters their sense of normalcy, their sense of safety. It's Baldur who actually launches them on their adventure. Laufey's dying wishes for Kratos and Atreus to scatter her ashes on the highest peak in the realms, but Kratos refuses to start on that journey. He feels that both he and Atreus are not ready, but when Baldur invades their home, Kratos has no choice but to leave. So, in some ways, Baldur is responsible for everything that happens in this game. Baldur's voice actor Jeremy Davies puts on a huge performance in this game. By comparison, I think Kratos, Atreus, and Freya's voice actors all have much subtler performances. Baldur's is super broad. He's fun to watch and listen to. Every time he's in a scene, he totally takes over that scene. He comes off as emotionally unstable, even slightly insane. Every time he shows up, something breaks, usually a lot of things. He is angry, he is violent, he is powerful, he is dangerous. Even after all the dozens of gods and mythological monsters Kratos has slaughtered over the course of his long, god-killing career, Baldur still managed to make Baldur feel really dangerous. At the start of the game, Baldur seems invincible because that's exactly what he is. Thanks to the effects of a magical spell or curse, Baldur is unkillable. But with all that said, what makes Baldur a truly great villain, and one of my personal favorite villains in any story ever, is how well he fits into the story's themes. The way his story enhances, complicates, and deepens the game's themes of parents, children, love, and because Baldur is also a son. He is the son of Freya and Odin. And while we don't get much information about his relationship with his father, we do know that his life was totally shaped
It's already
by
been
his
6.
relationship with his mother. Freya loved her son deeply, loved him more than anything, but this boundless parental love, instead of raising Baldur up, raising him into a good man, instead it ultimately destroyed his life, turned him bitter, resentful, and hateful. Freya received a prophecy that someday Baldur would die a needless death. She could not accept this. She loved her son too much to let him die, to let him go. She loved him too much to let him live his own life, to face death on his own terms. So, in an act of desperation, an act that was fueled by both love and selfishness, love for her son, but a selfish need to not allow herself to be hurt by his death, she cast a spell on Baldur. This spell made him invincible. He could never be hurt again. He would never die. This should have been awesome. Never having to worry about getting hurt or dying is pretty sweet. But the spell had other effects too. The spell stripped him of nearly all his senses. He could not taste, could not smell, could not feel. Sure, he can't feel pain, but he can also never feel pleasure for the rest of his life, which will be forever since he can't die. He will never feel anything ever again. Could you imagine how empty life would be without ever being able to taste food? Never able to feel warmth or softness, no physical pleasure whatsoever? But that's really not the worst of it. It would be one thing if Baldur chose this for himself, if he decided on his own to sacrifice physical pleasure in exchange for physical invulnerability. But he didn't get the chance to make that choice. Freya decided it for him. She cast the spell without even asking him what he wanted. Her true mistake wasn't casting the spell, it was that she did it without his consent. That's how we know it was a selfish decision, that she did it for herself and not for him. If she was doing it for him, she would have asked him what he wanted, but she didn't care what he wanted. She only cared about what she wanted, which was to not lose her son. As noble and good as that might be, doesn't make what she did right. Ironically, she lost her son anyway. In her attempt to save his life, she ended up ruining his life. In her attempt to keep him by her side forever, instead she ended up pushing him away forever. Over the decades, Baldur's bitterness and resentment hurtled into a dark hatred, and he became determined to murder his own mother in revenge for what she had done to him. But let's get back to Kratos. Kratos is terrified of raising his son the wrong way. He is intimately familiar with the ways that godhood and the incredible power that comes with it can spoil people. The way it can turn them selfish, indifferent, even merciless towards those less powerful than themselves. The gods in this series tend to commit terrible and evil crimes. Kratos himself
What
is a
the
god
fuck
with a
happened to my
history of
flint and
rage and
steel?
violence. He himself has been selfish, indifferent, and merciless. He has killed not just evil gods, but innocents too. He has been a monster. He doesn't want that for his son. He wants his son to live a better life than he did. So Kratos' father was Zeus, and Zeus was a really bad guy. He was manipulative, murderous, uncaring, possessed by the evils of Pandora's box. It really shouldn't be that hard for Kratos to be a better father to Atreus than Zeus was to him. All he really has to do is be present.
What's up? Alright, this will be a little scary. Okay, the brews are fucking fire. What is up with this world? What the fuck? When did I get this? There's a mosquito IRL too. Okay, I need to fucking check something. Apparently you can't teleport between dimensions. In spectator. Maybe they only spawn in a specific height or something. And I'm somehow too low, or maybe even too high. Of course, I chose this Crimson Forest where there are still hoglins that'll show up occasionally and be a fucking bitch. There's some over here. And where is over here? Quite far. I do have a location. And it should be far enough where I can set up a separate portal once again.